we have Josh McDaniels. We're going to start with Alex Barth, followed by Ben Volen.
So I still had my hand up from Bill. Sorry about that.
No problem. We'll go right to Ben Volen, followed by Tom Kern.
Morning, Josh. How's it going?
Good, Ben. How are you doing?
Good, buddy. So it's been like a month plus now that you've had Cam Newton. Obviously, coming into a team in this type of situation, given everything going on and the lack of off-season time that you guys have had, not easy to learn a playbook and to, I guess, learn a whole new team and system. How has it gone with him over the last month, and just what's it been like working with him?
He's come in and he's really worked hard, and it's really been an enjoyable experience for me, for our staff, our team, just to get to know him and the things that he's been familiar with, and then watch him acclimate to our system and our players and the way we do things. His attitude's been great. It's been fun. It's been a fun process. He brings a lot of energy. There's never a dull moment, and he really, you can see why the players gravitate so much towards him. His personality lends itself to that. Whether it's in the meeting room, on the practice field, in the locker room, etc. So. He's done a really good job. We have a long way to go in terms of, hopefully where we'll ultimately be in terms of growth and understanding of the totality of what we may be able to become on offense. But I think, there's nothing more I could have asked him to do in the 4 or 5 weeks that we've been working together to try to grasp his responsibility in our offense at the quarterback position. I think the guys that have been in that room have really worked well together to help that process along. We've got guys with different varying levels of experience, and certainly I think they've welcomed him, and as have our offensive players, our team, and he's really done a good job of reciprocating that with his work and his effort every day.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
Yeah.
Next question, Tom Kern, followed by Zach Cox.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Tom.
I'm wondering, you must, as a coordinator, when you're preparing, put yourself in the shoes of the defensive coordinator from the opposing team and say, all right, here's the things that he's going to have to deal with. I look at this matchup. There were no preseason games, no joint practices. They couldn't send any scouts to your training camp. They have no clue what's going to happen. Do you feel like this is a unique one-time advantage that you guys can just throw the kitchen sink at somebody and they have no clue?
I don't know that we have a kitchen sink to throw, but it's an interesting. The point you make is certainly present. But I think it goes both ways because they have the same opportunity. I think each team on opening day. When we did have a preseason, there was still a lot of anxiety, still a lot of unknown that you were dealing with relative to what you may or may not see, where players may or may not line up, who may or may be playing across from you, which I know our players are preparing for a lot of different scenarios and situations as we are. I think both teams, especially this year across the league, both teams are going to have the same opportunity. To unveil something that we haven't seen from the other team. I think that's why, our focus usually has always been on opening day to try to do things that we have confidence in, that we know how to adjust out, that if we get a different look, our system is not going to break down with the things we're going to try to do. And so, I'm sure we're going to see. Last year, I remember in the very first play of the Pittsburgh game, we saw a brand new alignment, a brand new front, and a brand new adjustment from Pittsburgh. And then we went down to Miami in week 2, and the very first play of the game, we saw a brand new front, a brand new alignment, and a brand new adjustment. So it happened last year with preseason games because a lot of coaches don't show their hand in the preseason. This year it's just been easier to protect that because we haven't had anything. on television or on tape. So I think there's definitely going to be an element of newness to what we're seeing from them, what they're seeing from us, and that's why opening day is so critical in terms of being able to put your players in a position to do something that they know how to do, and then you got to be quick to adjust because it certainly might change quickly for us, for them, and for our staff. So there's going to be some interesting moments, I'm sure, on Sunday, and hopefully we can, if we need to make adjustments, we can do it quickly, and our players can understand what we're trying to do against the looks we're seeing, and make those adjustments in the game.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Next question, Zach Cox, followed by Phil Perry.
Hi, Josh. Have you seen the type of development from Nikhil that you were hoping for as he heads into year 2 here?
I think Nikhil's really worked hard, and that's shown up on the practice field, in the meeting rooms. He's he's just much further along in terms of his understanding of what his role is, how to do things the way that we want them done. And he's been able to be productive in those roles in training camp, and he's got to continue to work hard. We're going to continue to push him. And ultimately what matters is that we go out there on the football field, and on game days we can be productive with the things we're asking him to do. So still a lot of growth ahead of Nikhil. Very pleased with the way he's been working, his approach, his acclimation to his second year in training camp, and excited to kind of see how we can start the season and continue to move forward and grow with him.
Thank you.
The next question, Phil Perry, followed by Evan Lazar.
Hey Josh, how's it going?
Good, Phil. How you doing?
Good. This may sound like a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
No
how
dumb
much?
questions, Phil.
Well, how much is math a part of your job as a play caller? Because I think when we think about like a fullback and maybe a running quarterback and how that can change things for defenses, how often are you going through calculations in your head in terms of what the defense might do in response to guys that you have on the field?
It happens, I would say, more subconsciously and just in the natural flow of the work week and in the game, but it's ever present. You're talking about balancing statistical data that you understand, that you have at your fingertips here. You have analytics relative to what they've done against us in the past. Maybe analytics in terms of what's happening in real time in the game, based on matchups, what we're seeing early in the game and how that's progressing. I think there's a lot of percentages you're playing. You're trying to evaluate risk. You're trying to evaluate, what can get us in the best situation for the next down. And ultimately you're trying to, have success. So there's a lot of numbers that go into our preparation. There's a lot of numbers that go into, in my opinion, play calling. You're constantly working through what you think you can present to your team that that they can really digest and understand. And ultimately, our goal as a coaching staff is to show them things that we believe we're going to see, and hopefully we can see them on Sunday. And then when we see the things that we practiced, that we do them well. So I would just say numbers, math, calculations, analytics, statistics, they play a big role in our preparation. They play a big role in how we call the game. They play a big role in our, in what we're trying to do each series as we move forward in the game.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
Next question, Evan Lazar, followed by Alan Siegel.
Hey, Josh, I just wanted to ask you, with the quarterback like Cam, do you have like a number in your head or anything about how many times you want him to run with the football? And how do you kind of go about preserving his body for the entire season while also allowing him to be, Cam Newton?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great question. Really have never had that, that question, needed to be answered. And so be smart, I think, with a lot of those different things. And especially, I would say, early in the season, we've talked a lot about this with our team. we don't have a player on our roster right now that's played a 70-play game. We don't have a player on the roster that's played a 40-play preseason game. So, depending on what the weather is early and all the rest of it, I think our team could go through the same thing. And in terms of trying to use our depth, I would hope that everybody that's active is going to participate and contribute in terms of protecting ourselves as the game moves along. But in Cam's case, he's very good in terms of communication about where he's at, his body, and those types of things. I'm sure that we'll do a good job of monitoring that along with the rest of our guys as we head into the year.
Next question, Alan Siegel, followed by Mike.
Thanks, Dave. How you doing, Josh?
Good. How you doing?
Okay, thanks. Before you signed Cam, you probably had an idea of what he was all about as a quarterback. But as he came into camp and you saw things that he could do, were there things that maybe you didn't even know that he could do that led you to believe that, hey, we can expand our offense, we can do this, when you maybe didn't think that you could do it, just seeing what his skill set is in general?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him on tape. I studied him extensively when we were going through that process to really try to get a gauge and understanding of where he's been, what he's done, what he's been asked to do, and why he's been so successful in his career. So I've seen everything he's done, and I would also say that the right thing to do, in my opinion, is to go into any kind of a relationship like that with an open mind. I've learned as much as I've taught, about him, what he's been taught, the things that he understands and knows. It's always important for me to listen to a player, explain their perspective on things. I've done that with many people in the past, and it's really it's a two-way street when it comes to getting to know one another, and getting ready to embark on, playing together, coaching him playing for us and all the rest of it. So, I wouldn't say I went into it with, I think he can do these things and not those things. I don't usually do any of that. I just kind of, go into it with an open mind, allow the players to have opportunities to do a lot of different things, and then try to evaluate what we're seeing, as well as talk to them and communicate constantly about, how they feel about it. You never want to put a player in a position to do things that they don't feel comfortable with. So I think it's been a great process. I'm continuing to learn every day. Looking forward to continuing as we head into the regular season here.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep.
Next question, Mike Giardi, followed by Bob Sosi.
Morning, Josh.
Morning, Mike.
Wanted to ask you, you mentioned in the beginning of the conference call about the sort of getting to know what Cam does well. So on that front, how much input does Cam have into the game plan? And I know coaches coach and players play, but how much influence does he have?
I think we've always, we've been open-minded with that concept always. I mean, if the quarterback doesn't feel comfortable with something, then generally we don't do it, and it's not his responsibility to come up with the way we should approach each game. But certainly, if he feels a certain way about certain things, good or bad, then that information is very critical to our preparation and what we want to ultimately do on Sunday. So, I mean, if James White told me something like that, it would be the same. If Julian Edelman said, David Andrews, a lot of guys have input in terms of the way we ultimately want to attack the opponent and how we want to do things, given certain sets of circumstances based on the down and distance, personnel groupings, et cetera. So, always want to listen to, what they have to say. It's our job to try to come up with a plan that we feel like they can be successful executing. And then, it's always a work in progress as we head towards Sunday. And, we never really put an end date on that. We've been, we've been taught and told to, make an adjustment as quickly as it needs to be made. And if there's something that needs to change the night before the game, the morning of, first quarter, whatever it is, then we're going to try to do that. But certainly the input of the players is critical to putting together the best plan and ultimately having them go out there with confidence and execute whatever it is we call.
We're going to go ahead and make that the last question. Thank you, Josh. We're just trying to keep it scheduled here.
Thanks, guys.
Report is next.